Hi, I'm Tony Bowen and welcome to my Corn Country Rails. Well, I'm very excited as I'm getting the layout set up for an operating session. I have not had an operating session on my layout in over a year, and so I'm looking very forward to it. So let me show you some of the trains that'll kick off part of our operating session. Right now, the operating session is set from 1 until 4 o'clock. However, I kind of told crews they could show up at 12:30, get their throttles ready, acquire their trains, ask questions, any of that. And so we have about 2 crew members shy of a normal operating session. We still have a few of our operators that are doing some last minute camping and doing some things while it's still pretty decent weather before old man winter hits. So to start off, we've got an extra east, an extra west. All the yard work there in green has already been taken care of. Then we have a local, 2 locals I should say, one on the lower deck, one on the upper deck, and then we have one mainline train heading east. And then all the other slots down below, except for the extras here, we probably won't get any of those ran, but any of these are kind of, as you finish train, you can go ahead and mark yourself up to take your next job. So to start off the session, we have 2 trains that are going to start off at the Grenell Yard. And so they have their waybills made out, and then Form 19 of their train orders right there clipped for both of them. And so if we take a look, one of them is our local that is going to be pulled with this RS2M, and then a regular RS2 behind it, and then just 3 cars and the caboose. So that's just the local that's going to run the upper deck of the layout and then go to my staging. The other train that will pull out of here is an eastbound extra. So it has an F2 and then a set of FTs, and it's got a pretty lengthy train. So it will take the cars off track 2, and then it will back on to track 1, and it'll leave here with something like 30 cars. Track 3 here, right there, those are westbound cars that hopefully will get moved throughout the session. And then these cars right here in the foreground, one of the eastbound mainline trains will pick those cars up, but we'll probably also have cars to drop off for the yard. So that's 2 of the jobs that will at least depart this yard. For the staging area, train 82 has its waybills and train order made out. And so that's going to be this train right here, pulled by F2 number 42. And so it will make stops along the whole layout on the upper deck, the lower deck, and probably will have cars for down here when it gets to that lower deck. As we move down the other end of the staging, we have this engine here, number 49, an F2 with a set of FTs behind it, and it's a westbound extra. And so essentially it will leave the yard, go down the helix, and it will terminate down here into this staging area, and then its train will be taken apart and resorted. And the last train that is already set for the operating session tomorrow is the lower level local. This is the Homestead Local. It has no cars to pick up to take with it at Homestead, but as it works all the industries and that on the lower deck, by the time it probably gets to Carnforth Yard, it'll probably have somewhere between 15 and 17 cars for the yard. So that's it for now. It'll be interesting when my operators get here and we get the trains rolling, because that's when the layout really comes to life. And I'm anticipating, with not having the layout operating last year because I was taking care of a railroad estate, that we'll probably have a few bugs, a few kinks. There'll probably be a few things that maybe needed a little extra cleaning and that. But I think for the most part, people will forgive me for that. And we'll just have a good time running trains. And then hopefully it will lead to November's operating session, December's operating session, and so forth. So we'll see what tomorrow brings when the operators show up and ready to run trains. You got a green signal. That's a good thing. Especially some of those small towns in Colorado and New Mexico, or Nevada and that. Right by the diamonds. That's not laying too bad. I've seen better layouts, but it's running okay. It's going to be a pretty lengthy train. Yeah.
Northwest Rec Center?
Yep, go ahead. I'm going to mute you guys out.
Oh. They were always going to connect those two buildings.
So then by the time you get to Brooklyn, your dad's going to be a while getting down the Helix.
Yeah, we're not taking that burden for our
The big three. Set already to come into the yard. Well, the operating session went really well today. We were able to get our extras ran, our trains that we had already picked, and then people started kind of filling in the other jobs for the day. So the only train that we didn't get ran today was number 7. It was marked down, but it never ran. We did get the M and St. L train extra ran. The extra east and west here, those will be trains that'll go out for the next session. And then the Milwaukee extra is still sitting in the yard, so it'll be ready to go. But as luck would have it, our M and St. L train, we basically ran out of time. So it's sitting here in Malcolm. And so it will go out at the start of the next session and finish where it needs to go. And so that's not a big deal. The Grenell switcher, I was running that job most of the day during the op session. And so the cars that it has, we have 2 here for the cement plant. We have a car here for the glove factory. And then the reefer car needs to be spotted down at the down at the ice house. So those are things I can easily get taken care of for the next session. We had a train come in at the last minute of our op session, and normally it would have continued on into staging, and it just kind of died here. So we're going to basically just run it as extra out of here. It'll probably be the extra west starting here. So it's kind of nice that there's already the power for it. But in the meantime, from our October session until our November session, I will take this train apart, and I would guess pretty much just looking at the train, I'm going to guess these reefer cars are going to end up over at the ice house. Any of these general box cars might go to the glove factory, or might go on the other side of the peninsula to the lumber mill or Hildebrandt Shoes. And then some of these other cars might just be continuing their way west. And so they'll get spotted on the tracks here, because right now it looks like we have a solo car for east. We already have a good start of a train for going west. And then everything here is basically the local. The local ran out of here with only 3 cars, and already looks like it's got probably about 14 or 15 cars for our next session. As far as the upper staging goes, we got a couple tracks that are sitting empty because of trains that didn't get back. It looks like we have a eastbound train on the westbound side of the yard. But you know what? At this point, I'm not going to question it. I know during the operating session, they said there was some congestion back here. So that train will easily be able to get pulled out, run up the main, and then we'll just back it down onto this side of the yard over here. Because I would guess that that is probably train 84. Passenger trains look like they're where they need to be. And this end of the yard looks pretty quiet. Now, the lower staging, this is what I thought was going to happen, because it's been almost a year. There was a lot of cars that were sitting around that hadn't gotten picked up or touched, and so a lot of these cars will get sorted, their weigh bills turned, and then obviously our November session, a lot of these cars will end up going out. We also have 2 locals. So this local here that was brought in, we'll break that train up and it will go back to Grenell. And then we have the Homestead Local, and so we will turn that train as well, and then it will head back to Homestead during our next operating session as well. And we'll open up some tracks for the next session, because we had kind of the cleaning train set up on a track here. So that's kind of what I call my wet train, because obviously it's got liquid when it's going around. And then this is the dry train that follows up behind it with several cars with pads, and that another one with the centerline wipe, and then a couple with the Woodland Scenics little wipers that mount onto the trucks. And so those did a really nice job for keeping the tracks nice and clean prior to our session today. So I hope you liked that recap of our operating session that we had. I hope to do another one in November, and hopefully we'll have the 2 other crew members we were missing today as part of our session. But I think I could say, for not having run the railroad for about a year in an operating session fashion, everybody who attended today had a great time, and we're already looking forward to our November session. So as always, thank you for watching, and everybody take care. Bye-bye.